thank you for allowing me to testify here today in support of restoring the $4.1 million in funding for the Agricultural Education Incentive Grant that services, and I think this should be underscored, that this services nearly every region in the state, that services over 78,000 students. As you all know, Governor Brown removed the funding by transferring the money earmarked for this grant to the local control funding, which we've heard from the Department of Finance, and the LAO also touched upon it as well. While I'm an advocate for local control funding, just like I believe some of the committee members are as well, this grant, I would say, is not a categorical program and should not be treated as such. There's several factors that distinguish the Ag Incentive Grant such as, it's got a community board, right? And that's comprised of business leaders, that's comprised of teachers, that's comprised of instructors. If you look at other categorical programs, they do not have that. Right. Secondly, the program raises a lot of money on its own. As we know, the $4.1 million is not enough to sustain these programs, so they go out of their way to actually raise the additional funds to keep this program running. The LAO touched upon earlier about the performance and aptitude. That's another part of this. Remember, this is an ag incentive grant. The key word being grant. They have to perform in order to compete to get these funds. These are all things that make this very distinguishable and that make it different than any other categorical. Members, as you listen to testimony today by myself, the students and advocates, keep in mind that this grant is not only the state's investment in tomorrow's leaders, but also an ag industry that's number one not only in California, but I would say even across the country. It's no mistake that California leads in agriculture. California is only 1 in 5 regions in the world with the ideal climate to grow the food that feeds America. Make no mistake, just because we have the ideal climate doesn't make us leaders. We wouldn't be number one if it wasn't for the hardworking families, students, dedicated farmers, and ranchers who do whatever they can to keep this industry growing. They do it throughout droughts, such as we have this year, through floods, whether it's an El Nino year, and often at their own expense. And they do it with pride in keeping California the nation's top producer and employer. You've heard the numbers, you've read about them. It's $43 to $46 billion of just our economy in this state alone. That's why I'm here today. This program services students throughout the entire state. It gives students an opportunity throughout the entire state. The nominal investment of $4.1 million is pennies on the dollar when you compare it to a $43 to $46 billion industry. That's tax revenue coming back into the state that pays for things like our schools and pays for things like our roads. Without this modest investment, hundreds of agricultural programs in our schools could be eliminated throughout the state. There are FFA programs in every region in California. These students are committed to continuing the legacy of California to being number one in actually the world. If ag education isn't funded, thousands of students will lose the opportunity to develop the technical and personal skills to grow into the strong leaders of tomorrow that our state needs. I can say with confidence that many of our colleagues support this grant and in fact have signed on to letters and co-authored my Assembly Bill 2033. In fact, I have just a sample of some of I believe we have 10,000 letters from across the entire state that have already been delivered to the governor. And this is just a sample of them. And I brought these in case any of the committee members would like to look through these. These are all personal stories. And if you guys can see, these are not form letters. These are personal stories from every student, from business leaders, from people in our community talking about what this means, not only to them and their personal lives, but what it means for their communities. This is a program that grows not just crops, and I want us to get out of that. It does not grow just crops. This grows our future leaders. This is an investment into a key sector in California's economy. And with that, I'd like to bring up some of the students so you can hear personally from them as well, if the chair will allow. But just personally, I visited a lot of these schools and these programs, and I can tell you, for instance, I talked to a student the other day, and he was from an urban district from Los Angeles, started in a new high school and said, you know what, I would have never been exposed to this otherwise, but I love this program. And to be quite honest, he was telling me, he was like, quite honestly, because of the shop classes, because we're able to do things with our hands, that's the reason why I continue to come to school.
My name is Grant Vertigal, and I am proudly representing the chapter of Hanford FFA. Our chapter has 1,056 members. Before high school, I was the shy, quiet kid at the back of the class, the one who didn't really know what he wanted to do in life and didn't really know who he was. Upon entering into FFA and entering into high school, I found myself. I found a new courage, a knowledge of agriculture. I mean, I grew up around agriculture, but never really understood the impact about it. And I've also learned many valuable skills. I have competed on an array of judging and speaking teams that have helped me develop who I am and find out what I want to do. Before entering high school, I had no clue what I wanted to do in the future. But after my first year, after competing on several of the judging teams, I decided I wanted to become an agronomist. This program has helped me define who I am and what I want to do. I have earned many valuable skills such as the confidence to be able to go out and play sports and be a part of my associated student body. I have also been accepted to 3 colleges and am constantly trying to improve myself into making myself a better person. And through this program, I have been able to do so. I have earned many valuable skills that has helped me secure several jobs and internships in many variety of fields and helped me develop who I am. So I ask you guys today to help keep the agriculture incentive grant and to help secure the future of California.
Good morning. I'm Evie Starch, proudly representing the Hanford FFA chapter. When I was in 3rd grade, my parents got divorced and I had the opportunity to grow up on my grandparents' 40-acre walnut farm. So I did grow up within production agriculture. However, much like Grant, who just spoke before me, I didn't really understand the purpose that it served until I got to about the high school age and I entered within FFA. It really gave me an idea of what kind of impact California and production agriculture has, not only within our state, but within the world as well. And then along with being in the FFA, because my parents were divorced, my father was not around at all, so it was basically me, my sister, and my mother. I have 2 or 3 very wonderful ag teachers, along with the other 4. One of them is here today, and he's been very much like a father figure in my life. And without FFA and being able to know him, I wouldn't have grown quite as much as I did in the past 4 years. So this is definitely a grant to keep within our budget. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Joseph Aguilar. I am from the Foothill FFA chapter, and I'd just like to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak. And I would like to just start my story by bringing you all to the summer between my 8th grade year and the start of my freshman year in high school. Now, at that time, I didn't really have much of an idea of what I wanted to pursue as far as high school, what clubs or classes I wanted to take. Luckily, my brother was involved in the FFA program in our high school, and he had great success with that. So I thought I should possibly give it a shot and see where I would go with it. And little did I know, from making that simple decision, I was able to take part in numerous community service projects, be a part of numerous public speaking opportunities that granted me this confidence to come and speak today. And without this program and without the Agriculture Academy at my high school, I would not be the individual that I am today, and the one to come and advocate for agriculture itself, an industry that is very important in our state and in our world. Thank you.
That the state, unless the state identifies these priorities as a statewide priority, that should be receiving dedicated funding.
Mr. Chair, Chris Ferguson with the Department of Finance. We would note that under the Local Control and Accountability Plan, that districts must address as included within one of the 8 state priorities, career technical education.
Absolutely. So we'll have a couple students come up and then maybe some of the advisors, if that's okay.